Hello. Hello, hello. I think we're live. Give me 1 second to refresh my YouTube so I can see what's going on. Always takes a second to catch up over there. Come on, YouTube. Let's do it. All right, there we go. Now I can see. Hi, guys. How is everyone doing? Boy, we had to do a live this weekend. There's some stuff going on. Can y'all hear me all right? I'm pretty sure my microphone is on. It looks like it's on. Sounding and looking. All right. Thank you. Feeding it. Thanks to all the mods that are here. I know this is kind of a last minute thing. I didn't plan this ahead of time. So thank you so much for taking time out of your day to come and help the chat flow smoothly. I appreciate it. And thanks for everyone here that's watching. Parm, thank you for joining. You're a new channel member. I saw that earlier. Thank you. And welcome to I was going to say Sofa Squad. That's Paul's channel. Welcome to the team. Thank you for being here. Hi. So all I want to do is just sit here and roll my eyes at this mess that's going on in the Vallow case. But let's lay some foundation, as John Pryor would appreciate. All right, there's some stuff going on. So we're going to have to back up a little bit and get to where we are today before we start trying to figure out what's happening. Let me start by saying nobody knows what's happening. Okay? I don't know. Nobody in chat knows. Nobody on Facebook knows. Nobody on Twitter or Reddit knows. We are all guessing. I know some people are trying to act like they're not guessing, but nobody has seen these ex parte motions. Nobody knows exactly who filed them, although we're going to get into that. Nobody knows who they're about. Nobody knows who the respondent is. We do not know. All right, so let's clear that up right from the get-go. Oh, thank you, Gina Sadi fam, for the super chat. Look at that cat sticker. That is adorable. You know, I am a cat person through and through. So thank you. I really appreciate that support. All right, so last week we had a hearing. It was supposed to be a motion to compel hearing. Now, if you watched it on my channel, I apologize for you sitting through an hour and a half video and getting nothing except me chatting while we wait. We go into the hearing, and Mark Means goes into a breakout room with the judge. And then a few minutes later, Rob Wood comes out and says, hey, we need me and Pryor and the court reporter into the breakout room. And they all go into a breakout, which in Zoom is like a private hearing. Think of it as judges' chambers. All right, so they're all in there talking, and we're just sitting here waiting and waiting. And when they come back, the judge says, okay, everything's vacated. See you on the 7th for a status hearing, 7th of April. And I'm like, what? What just happened? What is going on? We don't know. We don't know what happened in that hearing. All we know is they talked about something. They came out, and the judge vacated all the pending motions and hearings, including the change of venue for the 22nd. What? Okay. Interesting. Sorry, just checking on chat. I get so distracted by chat. Hi, guys. Oh, Jess. Before we move forward, Jess Nelson, you know, she is my partner in crime, my best friend, my sister. She is currently in the hospital. So please send her some good wishes and all of your good vibes. Jess, we need you to get better very quickly because I can't do this without you. I need you. I need you to get home so we can do this. So, yeah. Anyway, Jess, I'm glad you're here. And if you need to go sleep or rest or whatever, don't feel bad, okay? I want you to get better. That's the most important thing. All right, so that's Jess. Everybody say hi to Jess. So the hearing, we're all sitting here like, what is going on? And the next thing that we hear is that there was a filing, right, listed first under Daybell for an ex parte protective order. I'm sorry? What? And then a few minutes later, one pops up for Vallow, an ex parte protective order, or a motion for an ex parte protective order. And everyone just kind of like, what? You know, we stopped for a minute and said, what on earth is this possibly about? Now, here's one place where I got into trouble with this right away. When I first saw this filing, right, and I'm like, all right, what is this? What on earth is this? So I'm looking at Twitter, and someone says, well, you know, John Pryor filed this ex parte hearing to blah, blah, blah. I'm like, all right, number one question, how do you know John Pryor filed this? It doesn't say. And the court docket, it does not list who submitted the filing. All right, so I'm like, how do you know it's John Pryor? And they said, well, you know, it blah, 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 blah. And now there's one for Vallow too. So Mark Means must have filed that one. And I'm like, okay. All right. Now, unfortunately, I just ran with their assertion that these were filed by Means and Pryor. Until the other day when I'm looking around some other places and they're like, well, wait a minute. Okay, now this is important. If you look at the court docket for Lori and Chad's cases, and all the filings are listed. All right. Now, whenever Means and Pryor make a motion or file something in the case, they do it in a particular way. Whenever Rob Wood files anything, it's either all caps Daybell or all caps Vallow. And these two ex parte motions are also all caps Daybell and Vallow. Now, Means and Pryor have never filed anything with the all caps Daybell or all caps Vallow before any of their filings. So by that logic, Rob Wood filed these motions, right? Possibly. We just don't know. All right. Everything that we're talking about is complete supposition and hearsay and theory. And, we're just guessing. But it does seem to me that these are probably done by Rob Wood, which really flipped my head around because I thought I had worked out why Pryor and Means would do this, right? I thought I had gotten okay, maybe it's this. But no. What if Rob Wood filed it? What on earth could it mean? So we really have to stop and say, what could these mean? What could the outcome of it be? But it's all guesswork. All right. So understand going forward today, this is all guesswork. All right. On my side and anything in chat, anyone that you see saying, well, I know what they filed it because of blah, 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 blah. They don't know that. They really don't. Unless they work at the courthouse and saw the filings or got leaked by somebody, they don't know. So we have to remember that. We need to bring Sherlock Holmes in. I'm not sure he'd even know this one. All right, so let's start with these motions. All right, the ex parte. What is an ex parte motion? Well, ex parte isn't a motion in and of itself. It is a legal term that means outside the presence of. Okay, so an ex parte means without the party. Think of it that way. Party, kind of think of it. But the meaning of it is it's one side presenting information without the other side present. Okay, all right, I get that. What is a protective order? Well, a protective order can be for a lot of things. It can be for information. It can be for a threat. It could be for all different kinds of things that you would file a protective order. Similarly, recently we saw Mark Means do a filing regarding one of his witnesses for the change of venue that person wanted to be under a protective order because he didn't want his name and all that stuff released publicly. Okay, that happens. It's not an unusual thing. An ex parte protective order in this situation is an unusual thing. It really is. And it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Okay, now, typically when you're filing an ex parte motion for a protective order, this is an emergency motion. This is another side of things. This isn't done lightly, and it carries some weight, all right? It's an emergency order or emergency motion. So whoever filed this is saying, Judge, I need to see you immediately. There's a problem that we have to deal with right now. I need a protective order right now. Like, what on earth is going on? All right. So like what Angel just said in chat. Hi, Angel. How are you? I hope you're doing well. I'm hoping it means murder charges. That's what I think a lot of us are thinking. Given the fact that now I'm starting to believe more that Rob Wood filed this, I have a bunch of theories. And the one that I'm the most comfortable with is that Rob Wood knows some things are coming, and he's asking the judge for protective order because imagine he's going to release information about new murder charges. Typically, that would come with something similar to a probable cause affidavit. Remember what we saw about Chad when Chad got arrested last June? That long document, the probable cause affidavit, that listed all of the reasons that they were arresting him. Right? Imagine something like that is coming out with murder charges or conspiracy to commit murder charges or something big like that for the kids or for Tammy or for all of them. Rob Wood might say, I want these under a protective order because there's still ongoing investigations and I don't want this information released. That would make sense, would it not? It would make sense to me if he was filing like a motion to seal them or for a normal protective order saying this has to be kept, sealed to the court. But an ex parte emergency filing? What? Why? And who is the parte, right? Who is the respondent? Is it Pryor and Means? Is the judge or is Rob Wood asking the court to prevent Means and Pryor from releasing information regarding the new charges coming, regarding the autopsy reports, regarding anything like that? It could be. It could be. Could it be one of Rob Wood's witnesses is feeling threatened by the defense? It could be, although if it were a threatening, like a risk of physical harm or something like that, I would assume that would be filed separately. That wouldn't technically be part of this case. It would be filed under its own court number, its own court record. So, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Someone says, what about Zulema? Isn't she talking? Zulema does have an immunity agreement with the state. Why would she need a protective order against Means and Pryor? And even if she did, why would it not be filed under its own court record? Because that would be an issue between her and the defense attorneys, not Chad and Lori in this case. You see, it's very confusing and it's very messy. This thing is very messy. Now, yesterday, I expected to hear something from the court, some sort of filing or order from the judge or something that would give us a clue as to what this was about. We got nothing. Now, looking up the Idaho statutes, an ex parte motion put forward to the court has to be heard within one judicial day. So they had to have a hearing yesterday, right? And I got word early on in the day that Mark Means was actually in Rexburg. And I'm like, oh, all right, this is happening. So we're going to hear something, right? No, we didn't hear nothing. What we did hear later in the afternoon was some tweets by Mark Means saying, it's a beautiful day in Rexburg. And I'm like, what do you mean? It's a beautiful day in Rexburg. And so at the time I'm thinking, okay, if those were your motions, did the judge side with you? Is that what you're saying? Or if they were Rob Wood's motions, did the judge deny them? And so now you're gloating? What are you saying there, Mr. Mark? So we don't know. Then he also posted some pictures of his off-roading vehicle and a small video on his Twitter of him going off-roading with his kids and his girlfriend. Eleni K, thank you for the super chat. I love that sticker. Oh, that's so cute. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that support. And thank you for being here. So when I saw Mark Means' tweets, I'm like, he does like to play with social media, right? He doesn't just post something to post something. He always has some motive behind what he's posting. And I'm thinking, all right, is he trying to make it look like he won whatever happened today and he's all celebrating and yay? Possibly. There are a lot of pictures, though, on his Twitter and Instagram of his children. And I'm like, dude, regardless of anything else going on, if you are a defense attorney in a globally known murder case, you don't need to put your children's pictures all over the dang internet so everybody can identify them. You don't need to do that. That's not okay. He has young children, too. Some of them are older, but there were some younger children in the video clip in the truck. And I'm like, that's not fair. Those kids have to go to school and they're going to get, why is your dad defending that kid murderer? Oh my God. Why would, don't put your kids through that, man. Leave them out of it. Make a private account if you want to share with friends and family on Twitter. Don't do that publicly. That is not cool. So I'm going to read him the riot act over that one. Absolutely not cool. Not cool at all. Yeah, Miss Sweetglass, very unprofessional of Mark Means using his work account, but showing his kids. I think that puts his kids in danger. They don't need to be identified. We don't need to know what Mark Means' family looks like, and nobody does. Because there are going to be people very angry about this case. Look at, not today. Today's actually really chill. But some of the times when we get going in a conversation about the case and we see chat, people are very angry at Mark Means. They call him a lot of names and stuff. People on the internet are not always, cream of the crop sometimes. We see a lot of people who, I saw it on the internet, so I went to break into this pizza place or something. He doesn't need to be putting his children out there like that. And I think that was irresponsible, unprofessional. And as a parent, that pissed me off. So I was going to get an earful about that one. Yeah, I think he's maybe a little high on the fame. This is the only people all over the world know his name now. That's never happened to him before. I think it's exciting to him. It's like, yeah, look at me, I'm Mark Means, famous. Your kids don't need to be famous, dude. Stop it. So anyway, that's a separate thing. Jennifer asks, please address the John Pryor grinning like a Cheshire cat. That is completely subjective, right? I thought he looked a little smirky. I thought it was the way I interpreted John Pryor's expression was, just you wait, I'm gonna get you. I saw it as that, as opposed to, I won, haha, I'm so good. Some people see it as a smug smirk, indicating he got something he wanted. I see it as more of almost a threatening, yeah, you think you won now, but just you wait kind of a thing. It's completely subjective, so we can't make much out of John Pryor's smirk, although he didn't come out of that hearing looking like his life was ruined, so, but John Pryor doesn't smile very often unless he's faking a laugh to, haha, judge, oh, that's so funny, haha. That guy. But yeah, there's not too much we can make of John Pryor's smirk. A lot of people are reading a lot into that. Well, John Pryor smiled, so clearly the judge ruled in favor of Chet. What? No, not at all. He was smirky. Who knows? Maybe he read a funny meme on Twitter because he's always on his phone while he's in these hearings. And he was laughing about that. We just don't know. Oh. Janine. Hi, Janine. Janine says the old adage, it doesn't matter what you call me as long as you don't call me late for dinner. I'm good with that. I agree with that. I live my life by that, as you can see. Michelle, thank you for the super chat. Look at that. That's adorable. Very cute. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And thank you for being here. So let's get back to this motion and some of the things it can mean. I have a couple working theories, so I'm going to throw them out there. Remember, these are absolute theories. I am not a lawyer yet, although someday I'm working on that. But we have to keep in mind that nobody knows exactly what these motions are. So let's talk about it. When I first thought that Pryor and Means had filed them, I racked my brain thinking, what is going on? Did somebody threaten them? So they want a protective order for themselves? Because who's threatening Means and Pryor? Maybe a lot of people, because people generally do not like the defense attorneys for a crime of this nature. It's just the way the world works. It's unfortunate, but that's how it goes. Or would it be a protective order for Chad and Lori? No, because they're in jail. It's not like somebody can walk into the jail and walk up to Lori and shank her. You can't do that. You can't just walk into a jail. If they were to meet with Lori, it would be behind plexiglass. She's not at risk. Could she have been at risk for somebody inside the jail? Sure. That would have been dealt with through the jail. She would have been put in solitary or isolation or something like that. So it wasn't about that. All right. So what could it be? Now, remember, this is where I come to my conclusion, assuming Wood was the one that made the filings. Remember the two motions in limine and how they were vacated at the last hearing? For months now, we've been asking, when is Wood going to get angry? When is he going to bring the big guns and smack these guys down? That is possibly what's happening here, in my opinion. He brought the motions in limine, which were pretty reasonably argued. Okay, now there is some question about whether he was trying to argue that these two witnesses in particular were expert witnesses when technically they were just lay witnesses. So there's a different bar of proof and all this other stuff. So, you can argue the merits of the motions all day long, but that was a big thing for him, right? To bring those motions, and they were vacated. So is this just taking that a step further? Be like, fine, you can vacate my motions in limine and whatever, but now I'm going to bring this. How do you like these? Emergency ex parte motions. Ha! Take that, Mark Means and John Pryor. Possibly. Quite possibly. That's what I'm leaning towards. I'm leaning towards it's more Rob Wood really putting his foot down now and saying enough of your shenanigans. So it could be about the motions in limine. This is his new version of that. Or it could be more likely he's coming out with some information. It needs to be protected. He needed this protection immediately because maybe Pryor and Means are hinting that they're going to do something or release some information. Could it be a protective order about Tammy's autopsy because we know Emma's gotten her hands on it, assuming like that she has, and Emma would be like, I'm just going to put this on Facebook. Could it be something like that about Emma? I don't think that would have been filed in this docket. I think that would have been separate. He would have filed a protective order against her separately. So your guess is as good as mine. So yeah, Emma Daybell did quiet down. Yes, she did. But she's a bit of a loose cannon. I could see her getting a hand of Tammy's autopsy and thinking posting it on the internet was a good idea. I could see that. I would hope she would not, but Cindy K says, Eamon, I think you are not too far off base. I think Wood had enough. Boyce pulled Means in the room separate before he allowed Pryor in the breakout room. It's possible that the start of that hearing really felt more to me like Mark Means was looking for some direction from the court, or Judge, this is happening. I'm not sure what to do with this. I need some direction from the court. And as that conversation got bigger, they brought in Wood and Pryor and the reporter and all that stuff and made it a formality. It's possibly. Did Emma get the autopsy? I don't know if she actually did. She can if she wants to. But she thinks that she would have to sit down for an interview with law enforcement before they release it to her. I don't think it's quite as serious as an interview. I think that they would just want to tell her, you cannot release this information publicly. You have to maybe sign something and blah, 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 or whatever. Did she follow through with that? I have no idea. No idea. I would think she would have. I would have if that was my mother's autopsy report, But thankfully, so far, she hasn't said a word about it. And it needs to stay that way. That is an ongoing investigation. So I think it has to do with the convo that Summer had with Wood. I've been tossing that around too. I have, because remember, a lot of this mess, part of this mess, started because of that conversation that was surreptitiously recorded by Garrett Smith, who was Summer's attorney at the time. And as much as the defense team loved being able to use that as their basis for the motion to disqualify, when it got to the point where Summer's like, oh no, I'm going to come in and tell you what really happened, the defense team lost their mind. And we're like, no, you can't let her come talk. No. Does that not strike you as problematic? If you're going to use statements made to a particular person as grounds for getting rid of the prosecutor, and that person wants to come in the court and tell the court what happened, you shouldn't be freaking out and screaming, no, don't let her talk, unless you're hiding something or you're misrepresenting something. No, that's what it looks like to me. Then again, that's my opinion. Mark Means, if you're watching, that is not any kind of defamation or whatever. That's stating my opinion. Suck it. Anyway, so Janet, you think Zulema is key here? I don't see how, unless he's trying to prevent Means and Pryor from releasing information from Zulema's statements publicly, because they are still part of an ongoing investigation. Not only in this, that could maybe impact an investigation going on in Arizona when it comes to Alex or Charles. So maybe her testimony has to be protected because it could it could affect several ongoing cases. It could be that. So is this a motion for information, for the protection of information, or is this an ex parte motion for the protection of a person or persons? That's a big key, and that's what we don't know. That's what we don't. If this is protection for a person or persons, that's a bigger deal, because that means somebody has been credibly threatened with actual harm. And I don't like that at all. Nobody who's involved in this case should be being threatened by anyone else. So I hope that's not the case. Would it make sense for this to be a protective motion for information? Absolutely. We all know murder charges or conspiracy to commit murder charges have to be coming. They have to be. These children were murdered. Eventually, we're going to see that. Is that what's happening right now? Quite possibly. As you know, Lori Hellis, one of my favorite people, she does the newsletter, the LoriVallowStory.com. If you want to sign up for it, it's totally free. One of the ideas that she put forth after that hearing was that maybe they just vacated all of these motions and hearings because Rob Wood said the murder charges are coming. Let's just focus on that. All of this stuff is kind of irrelevant now. That would make sense. That would make a lot of sense to me. Although someone did tell me that wasn't the case. That person may just be trying to string me along a different direction. We'll have to wait and see. So, as told by Thielen said, it could be some plea negotiations of some sort. It could be. This could be all leading up to, so, and I really hate to talk about this because I don't think this is entirely likely, but it is possible that one or the other is flipping on the other. That Chad's flipping on Lori, Lori's flipping on Chad, although I don't think Lori would flip first. I think it would be Chad. But it could be that Rob Wood wants all of this absolutely quiet for now. Because the bottom line is there are at least 3 ongoing investigations in Rexburg. Tammy, JJ, and Tylee. Charles and Alex in Arizona or Utah, wherever Alex died. There's so many things going on in the investigative side of this case and all of these cases that having certain information out there right now would be incredibly detrimental to those investigations, which means they could get compromised and we won't ever see charges for them. So it's very important that stuff that needs to be kept quiet is kept quiet. And that could just be what this is. It could be. But I want to know. I really, really want to know. Could Zulema have been barking orders at Chad and Lori? I don't think so. I think Zulema was a tangential character in their big plot. I don't think she was a ringleader of this at all. It's possible. Didn't Lori want to talk before and Chad convinced her not to? That's a statement. We don't know if that's actually true. It's possible. I think if Lori did want to talk, she'd want to talk because she would try to say, well, it was justified because they were zombies and now they're with Jesus and everything's great and I did what I had to do as a good parent. That would have been a really dumb thing for her to say to the prosecution, for sure. So it could be a plea deal. It could be information. It could be all kinds of things. Let's not forget, it still could be actually a physical threat against someone. So there's a lot that it could be. Not knowing is really frustrating because we're all so invested in this case. We're following every single court motion that's filed, even the dumb ones. We read them and we ponder it and we're making assumptions and we're extrapolating information and data. And we get something like this, a hearing that was kept off, at least out of the public sphere. And now these filings, we can't read them. We can't read an ex parte motion because if we could, then so could the respondent, right? There's a reason that it's ex parte. They're holding it outside the presence of whoever they think the threat is, whether it's a threat of information being released or a physical threat, anything like that. Whoever they think is the danger. Ex parte means they want the hearing without that person present. So certainly if we could read that motion, so could they. So clearly we're not going to get to read that motion. But what I find odd is that the judge would have had to have a hearing on Friday and there's no even order. It's an order to deny or order to whatever. I would have thought there would have been a filing on the docket, at least indicating what the judge did. But maybe those take a few days. Maybe we'll see it Monday. Maybe we won't see it at all. Maybe it's sealed, so they're not even going to put the title of the order on the docket. I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see. Let me catch up with chat. Jenny says, I don't discount Lori being the one to flip on Chad. She betrayed every year. Yeah, I don't discount it totally. I just think Chad would be more likely to flip first. Have they flipped against each other? That would be something. I would hope that Rob Wood is not feeling like making these great big plea deals with these 2 yahoos. I would hope that he is going to be like, you know what? We're going for it. We're going full jury trial. I'm going to nail you guys to the wall, colloquially. You're not getting off on a little plea deal. I would hope he doesn't do that. Part of the reason I'm hoping that, if you followed the Patrick Frazee case recently, Crystal Kenny, his girlfriend, who tried to kill Kelsey Barrett 4 times and chickened out. Eventually, she flipped on Patrick and told the law enforcement all of this information. She's going to be out of jail already. Less than 3 years served. It's like, that bothers me. That is truly a deal with the devil. Truly. And I don't want to see that happen in this case. Not at all. The weird mom. Hi, how are you? How is Hawaii? I saw you had some flooding. I hope you're okay over there and everything's good and safe. I'm really leaning towards them separating defendants because Pryor never wanted the joinder. Yeah, I am surprised we haven't seen a motion for severance yet from either party, but I don't think that's what this is about, because you wouldn't need an ex parte hearing about somebody's going to file a motion for severance. That doesn't make sense. But I do think it would be in the defense's best interest just to try and get a severance at this point. I hope they don't get it. I want to see this go forward the way it is, but I would be surprised if they don't file for that. What's the point for Mark Means? Bring his name change to be called Lori. Yeah. First of all, I don't think this is a big deal. Everybody is like going out of their tree about Lori's name thing. It's not a big deal. I would bet you anything that that's coming from Lori herself. It's not so much of a legal chess maneuver by Mark Means. If it is, Mark Means' impetus behind that motion, it's to link Lori and Chad more closely in the minds of the public. That's it. And could that be because he knows Chad is flipping? Absolutely. Oops, let me turn my phone off. It certainly could be, because he doesn't want the public to say, well, that Chad, he's going to flip on Lori, and she's really behind all of it. It's all her. And look, she's so desperate to try and keep his name and da-da-da. It could be that. It could just be, who knows? Who knows? It could be a deal with the money. That's right. The whole thing could be somehow financially related. That's another aspect. It could be something like that. AJ says, I think Zulema was told she had to kill Alex by Lori Chad. There's no way any of us know that. None of us know that. It's possible. Anything's possible. At this point, aliens are possible, just as possible as that. So I don't know. Happy for the Vallow family, especially Kay and Larry, that she is ditching Vallow. Sorry, that was a weird breath. Cindy, absolutely. You know how I feel about Kay and Larry Woodcock and Kresha and all of them, the entire family. Knowing that she's not running around with Charles's last name, that would probably feel good. It would. But we can't forget Charles. So I like to keep his name in it, because I think he's just as much a victim of this as JJ and Tylee and everyone else, because that case will get me riled up talking about the police response to Charles. Ooh, that's not okay. Can the prosecutor do that if the victims' families don't want a plea? Can the prosecutor make a plea deal with the defendants if the families don't want it? Yes, he can. I think in most cases, a prosecutor would defer to the family and ask them what they think about it. But think of it this way. Suppose that we get conspiracy to commit murder charges Monday, right? And Rob Wood says, okay, death penalty's on the table, right? But he knows he's got a really tough case to prove, because he only gets one chance at it. He can't go through the court and then they find him not guilty, then charge him again and try it again. He can't. He's got one chance. What if there's, he's concerned about, well, this kind of looks like reasonable doubt, or I can't really prove this part or that part. There's some parts of the case that, make him a little hesitant. He might say to Chad and Lori through their defense attorneys, hey, listen, if you plea down, we'll take the death penalty off the table, and then your life in prison without parole. Right? So that kind of a plea deal works out to everyone's benefit, even the families, because then they are in jail forever. You're done, and that spares everyone a traumatic trial. So, but I think in most cases, a prosecutor will discuss that with the family before making any kind of deal. Cindy said, any charges for Tammy would not be added to this court case, right? I don't know about that. They could be, because remember in one of the hearings that we saw, Rob Wood said something about these conspirators are listed as Chad, Lori, Alex, and others, and possibly persons unknown. When you're looking at something like this, when you've got all of these conspirators, if he thinks there are more than just Chad and Lori, certainly when it comes to Tammy's death, remember Tammy was shot at by someone. If he wraps all of this into a greater conspiracy, it could become part of one giant case. I don't know. It depends on what they know about Tammy's death and who they suspect. It could become part of this, or it could be a whole separate trial. If they think Chad by himself murdered Tammy, all right, get him through this trial for the current charges, the murder charges for the children that are going to come, and then a separate trial, the murder of Tammy. It could go that way, or it could be all into one. We're going to have to see. AJ says, your above comment about Zulema. Okay, let me look. Looking up. I think Zulema was told she had to kill Alex Lori because she knew too much. Is that the one you're talking about? Yeah, I read that when I saw it. I'm looking for another one in case I missed a second one. No, I guess that's it. We don't know who told Zulema what. We don't know anything. All right, so all of that is just complete theory and supposition. I don't want to say too much about Zulema, mainly because we know that she has an immunity. She has I'm now Beaker from the Muppet Show. She has an immunity deal, a use immunity deal with the prosecution. So we know that she has some information that is useful to the prosecution to prove their case. Awesome. And that she's willing to disclose that information. That's good news. What is that information? We don't know. We're not going to find out about that. That even could be what this motion is about, is keep that private for now, until she is actually on the stand to testify. It could be, but we have no idea. I mean, all the rumors that we know about Alex and Zulema and their marriage and Zulema's earthquakes and all of that is think of it as hearsay. There's this strange letter from Ian, this strange thing that appeared in an email one day, this strange thing, that strange thing. None of it is factual at this point. So we don't know what Zulema did or didn't do or knows or doesn't know. All we know is she has something useful to the prosecution to help put Chad and Lori away, and that makes me happy. Very happy. Oh, let's see. Shane says, does Melanie G have immunity? As far as we know, she does not. In Chad's preliminary hearing, which was last summer, okay, so this is a while back, when she was on the stand, she was asked by John Pryor, do you have you had any discussions with the prosecution about, immunity for your testimony? And she said no. She doesn't even have a lawyer. She told Nate Eaton that she doesn't have a lawyer and she doesn't need one because God is on her side. So, yeah, that's dumb. I will tell you right now, if you get arrested for anything, jaywalking, anything, you don't open your mouth unless you're going to say, I want a lawyer. Period. Don't do it. And this is something that I harp on a lot, because you may be the most innocent person on the planet, but when you're sitting down in an interview with law enforcement, they are not trying to prove your innocence. They are trying to prove that you're guilty, right? They're not going to help you figure it out, right? They're out to put you behind a charge. Don't talk to them without an attorney. The fact that Melanie Gibb's out here talking to the FBI, Chandler Police, Rexburg Police, all these people without an attorney, when she was one of the last people to ever see JJ alive, are you kidding me? You don't need an attorney? Good grief. Good grief. But God is on her side. That's what got them in this problem to begin with, is it not? What do I know? Anyway, Jennifer Ann Hunter, hi, welcome. I'm glad you're here. She says, what do you think of the recent 2020 documentary where Annie Cushing said she witnessed the abuse of Colby? That is not a topic I'm going to talk about, only because Colby is alive. Colby can speak to him for himself on the issues of the abuse. That when all the documents came out about the custody issues and stuff between Joseph Ryan and Lori and the kids, I stayed very far away from that. I don't think that's something I should be discussing. Okay, so, nothing personal. It's just not a topic I'm comfortable with. I'm certainly not going to talk about Colby and abuse he may have suffered as a child when he's, I could talk to Colby, or Colby could talk about that. It's not my place to discuss his abuse or possibility or lack, or whatever. It's just not my thing. Let's see. What about Summer, Lori's sister, after the Wood fiasco with Summer? I'm not sure what's happening with Summer. All we know is that during that hearing, the motion to disqualify, Summer's attorney at that point, Garrett Smith, was on the stand saying all this stuff about her conversation with Wood that day. What it appeared to me is that Summer watched that hearing, contacted Rob Wood that night and be like, no, that's not what happened. I need to come in and tell my side. Because the next day, the day after that hearing, when they went to for closing arguments, Rob Wood said, wait, Your Honor, we want to introduce Summer Shiflet as a witness. Rob Wood was calling her to testify, so she wanted to testify on his behalf. And the judge said no, because they had already finalized witnesses and all that, and it was just too late to call her. I didn't agree with that at all, but whatever, I'm not the judge. But it looked like Summer was a little unhappy with Garrett Smith's testimony. What happened after that? No idea. We have not heard from Summer. Jenny says, I think Mel G had knowledge of everything. It is my opinion, please, in giant flashing neon, it is my opinion that you're right. I need to be very careful how I phrase that. Certain people are watching this and may love to get me in trouble for saying something defamatory. But that is my opinion, that Melanie G knows a lot more than she said. Let's see. Jenny Stern. I'm wondering how long ago Summer and Janice spoke with 2020. Yeah, in that interview, Annie says that was filmed a year prior to its airing. So it could have been a year ago. It could have been 6 months, but that seems like that was an old interview, for sure. Pryor was adamant about calling her Lori Vallow, so maybe he was happy about the name change not being granted. Yep. If I were John Pryor, Your Honor, I believe I'm in my right when I say, if I was John Pryor, I would want Chad and Lori distanced in the eyes of the public as far as possible. Absolutely. I would not want her taking his last name. I would not want anything to do with Lori if I was defending Chad Daybell. I think that's the only way Chad may have a chance. So we'll see. Not that I think Chad has a chance. I'm not saying that. I don't think he does. Not for a second. The more I listen to the phone call, the more it sounds contrived. Weird Mom, are you talking about the phone call where Melanie called Chad and Lori with that whole setup thing? Is that what you're talking about? That phone call, that's such a scam. I have two thoughts on that phone call. Either the entire thing was scripted, right? And Lori and Chad did it on purpose to let Melanie have this sort of, oh, look, she didn't do anything, kind of to help her look innocent, just to be nice to her, maybe. But what it seems to me is that Melanie called, right, to sort of spin this story. Now, what got me was how early in the conversation Lori says, is this being recorded? I'm thinking, why would Lori jump to that suspicion so quickly? And what it seems to me is because Melanie was asking questions that Melanie knew were lies. If Melanie was involved in the disappearance of JJ, opinion, red lights, then Melanie would not have to ask Lori, why did you tell me to tell he was with me? Because Lori's like, what? You know what happened to JJ. Why are you asking me that question? Crazy woman, what are you doing? Oh, you're recording this, aren't you? Right, the light bulb clicked off in Lori's head. That's what I think happened in that phone call. I don't think Lori and Chad are magnanimous enough to have said, we know, do this phone call, pretend to ask us questions, because then you can use it and say, you look innocent. Chad and Lori are not that nice. They don't care what happens to Melanie Gibb. They would not put themselves at risk to help her look innocent. Of course not. So I think that was Melanie Gibb setting that up. And Lori was suspicious immediately because Melanie was asking questions that she darn well knew the answer to, but she was asking them in a very strange way. So Lori was like, what are you doing? Yeah. See, I don't think that exactly absolves Melanie Gibb. Oh, no, it's just Robbie. I think that makes her look even guiltier. 100%. So she said you'll be accountable for what you do know. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, it's true. It's possible that Melanie did go off script and they had planned something else and they were caught off guard. For sure. Shane says maybe Melanie P is about to talk or be charged. When I first thought that these motions were from Pryor and Means, I was thinking, okay, an ex parte protective order usually has something to do with like stalking or domestic violence or immediate threats of physical harm, that kind of a thing. That's when you would most likely see this type of motion. So that's when my mind immediately went. Who's being threatened? Who's fighting who? Who's scared? And I was thinking, this is usually a domestic situation. So what couples do we have? We have Melanie and Ian. And that was like, oh, wait a minute. Because we know Ian had a prior domestic violence charge in his history that, curiously, Rob Wood was going to prosecute, but dropped the charges. Something to think about for later. But I said, okay, we have Melanie and Ian. That could be. Or maybe it's about Melanie and David. Maybe it's about Brandon and Melanie. There could be all of these couples that it could be, but that wouldn't be filed through this case. That would be a separate case, because if Melanie and Ian are fighting, that has nothing to do with these current charges against Chad and Lori. Okay, so I was like, all right, that's not it. That's not what this is about. But yeah, I cycled through all of those those questions and thought processes and all of these people trying to think what on earth was going on here. Oh, man. Let's see. I agree that she was fully aware of everything right off the bat. Melanie Gibb Warwick is guilty and told just enough to get Lori and Chad caught and not enough to fully protect herself. That's quite possible. Mm-hmm. Sydney says, even if what you're saying is possible about charges for Tammy potentially added onto this case, maybe the ex parte is about Tammy's autopsy. It could be, although the tricky part of that, okay, is that, all right, someone asked me earlier, is Rob Wood trying to get some of his evidence blocked so he doesn't have to turn it over to the defense? That doesn't really work entirely. At some point, the defense is going to hear it, right? They have to be allowed to prepare a defense against that evidence, right? You can't just show up in court with, boom, here's an autopsy report, haha, and the defense is like, what? We've never seen that. Okay, that's not how it works. You can't do that. So, but they could keep it hidden for longer, right? If they needed to withhold it for investigative purposes, or if that information could be threatening to somebody else, there you go. There's a protective order, right? So it could be that. Alex never fully saw JJ as his nephew, too, despite what he portrayed. Well, again, I don't think any of us know what Alex really thought. You may hear what so-and-so said Alex thought, or, this person, that person, what they think Alex may have thought. We don't know that for sure, so we can't go run with that as a thing. Could it be to keep Tammy's autopsy private so the insurance company doesn't find out and take back the money? See, that's where earlier when I said maybe it's a financial thing. We talked about this with Lori Hellis back when we found out that Chad had given or sold his house to John Pryor, right, as payment for his legal representation. Technically, if Chad murdered Tammy, he can't do that because he doesn't have the right to Tammy's portion of that home. Okay. Now, if Tammy's autopsy report is finished and now Rob Wood's going to bring charges, that certainly puts that financial transaction in jeopardy, does it not? So maybe that's what this is about. It's possible that seems to be more of a civil matter to me that would go through, a probate court or something like that. That's really not part of this criminal thing. So I don't know. But that I do think that someday we're going to have to hear more about that house, because Chad technically could not have sold it on his own if he is responsible for Tammy's death. So that could be a thing later on. The weird mom says, I keep going back to why so darn shallow Chad. Why? He had one job he was supposedly an expert at. Overly ambitious weed whacker could have found JJ. Like, he wanted them to be found. I think it's just these people really believe what part of what they're saying. They believe that they're special. They believe they're protected by God or Moroni or whoever they want to name. They really think that they're untouchable, and that's just crazy. Miss Wee Lassie says, maybe it's to protect Chad's kids when they offer up the autopsy results of Tammy. Just thinking, given they need kids to keep hush about it. I think that would be between law enforcement and the kids, because even Emma did say that they said before they could see the autopsy report that I had to talk to law enforcement and interview first. Yeah, because you can't just have that information run around. So I don't think he would need to do that with Chad's children through this case. I don't think so. It's possible. Anything's possible. Could be that aliens landed and threatened one of the witness. Who knows? That's what's so frustrating, is because this type of motion is open-ended in some ways, but locked into certain other things, that there's such, none of it works. None of the theories that I have come out with work 100% with an ex parte motion for protective order, or a motion for ex parte protective order. None of it actually works seamlessly. So I'm like, what? And it's not just me. All right. I know I'm not a lawyer, but I'm not the only one confused by this. Angry Lawyer Man is just like, I don't know. Lori Hellis is like, well, it could be I don't know. We're all just like, what on earth does this mean? So it's not like this is a standard thing that you see in cases all the time. This is very unusual. It doesn't make a lot of sense. Not knowing exactly for sure who filed it changes the game a lot. So just don't know. Just know. Hi, Kavita. How are you today? Kavita says, hi, Awen. I believe Lori and Chad absolutely believe a lot of what they're saying. I do too. Such as the kids were zombies, and such as they have a special mission from God and nobody can get in the way. I'm not so sure that they really believe the kids were zombies or all this dark spirit crap that they throw around, but they do believe that they are special and they are on a mission from God and nothing should get in their way. I think the whole zombie dark spirit thing was their way of giving themselves cover, spiritual cover, for getting rid of these people. I don't think in their heart of hearts they believe that, but it's certainly possible. Maybe we should try and create a portal to get into that breakout room. I did, Mercini. I tried very hard. Like, if I have ever had even a hint of being a successful computer hacker, I'm getting into that breakout room. No, I don't know how to do that. I'm not a hacker. I'm just joking. Yeah, see, and I'm so paranoid about what I'm saying now, because anything could be misconstrued. And I know certain people are watching the videos, and I don't want them to take something I say and I end up on a witness stand because I made a threat to hack a Zoom hearing. I'm not doing that. It's a joke, okay? Just stay out of the breakout rooms and tell us what's happening, and then nobody will get upset. Sheesh. Guessing they had buried kids at Chad's property. They are thinking kids would never be found there. Chad didn't plan on ever selling the property. Just my thought. Yeah, I don't think he ever planned on selling it. Yeah, definitely. I really believe Alex signed his own death certificate when Lori found out what he said to Melanie Gibb when she asked, where are JJ and Tally? And he said, you don't want to know. I don't know. We still have no evidence of Alex being murdered. We don't. His autopsy report came back natural causes. The tox screen came back relatively clear, aside from medications he was known to be using. There's no evidence that he was murdered. Do I think it was a natural death? No, of course I don't. But, we just have to be careful. And remember that Lori and Chad were in Hawaii at the time Alex died. Zulema was technically at work, so, who knows? Who knows? The thing that gets me the most about Alex's death is in the police reports that we saw recently that were divulged from the police department. It shows that they went there, they found his body, and they saw something in the bathroom that made them back up and call it a crime scene. And that's redacted. We don't know what they found. What made them suspicious enough of seeing Alex's body in the bathroom that they said, okay, wait, back, this is a crime scene now? I'd like to know what that is. We don't know that. So there was something enough to make the police suspicious about his death right at the get-go. So that's something not to ignore. So yeah. Not when Mark Means will send you a subpoena to be a witness because you goofed off the internet. Yeah, Jenny, exactly. That's the thing. Salty, thank you for the super chat. That is so cute. Thank you. I really appreciate it. And I'm glad you're here today on this wonderful Saturday afternoon. Oh, yeah. I hope Mark Means doesn't send me a subpoena. I don't want to be a witness in this case. I really don't. Because you know me, I'd get up on the stand and be like, all right, so let me tell you about this. And have you heard about Jason Mao? And oh my God. Yeah, that wouldn't go well for either side. I got a lot to say. If the court would listen to me, that'd be kind of fun. What I mean is, by Wood protecting Chad's kids with the ex parte, Pryor has no way of evicting the kids from the home. I don't know if that's true. We'd have to go through real estate and probate law for all of that, and I don't think that would be submitted in Chad and Lori's case. So I don't know. Do you think Mark Means will bail when the money is drained? No, I do not. I do not. All right. Mark Means. Wait, I want to see Parma. Parm Dari says, Avon, I don't understand why Tylee was dismembered and burned where JJ. Okay, two good things. I'm going to pause the chat on my screen so I can get these two questions. The first one, Pandora's Karma. Do you think Mark Means will bail when the money is drained? Absolutely not. All right. One thing about Mark Means, and I know a lot of you hate when I talk like this, and you don't understand where I'm coming from. Mark Means is not a bad guy. He is very principled. He has very strong beliefs, which, in this case, that's not always a good thing. But he is the Don Quixote of this case. He believes in his goal. He believes in justice. He believes his job is to do the best that he can do to protect his clients' constitutional rights going forward. Okay? He believes in that so much that even when Lori runs out of money, if she hasn't already, he's not going to leave the case. He is not. Also, I have confirmation that if it does become death penalty, he would remain on the case, right? Maybe obviously not as lead because he can't, but he would remain. And he's really not a bad guy. Guys, don't go hating on Mark Means just because of his client. Does he do the best legal work I've ever seen? No. He's new to this, He's new. He's going to make mistakes, but he seems, if you look at, some of the very early filings, like from over a year ago, and look at now, he seems to be growing into his role pretty well. He really does. So, all right, if I was up on a murder charge, would I call Mark Means? Maybe I would, because he's certainly learning a lot. But he will definitely stay on the case. Now, another thing, Lori Hellis told me about this, and I don't know if she's around today, but if there is a situation in where a defendant who has a retained attorney runs out of cash or becomes indigent, that attorney can then ask the state for funding. There are funds available as if they would have had to hire a public defender. So, yeah, he can still get paid to an extent through the state because that's just how the legal system works. So there is that. Now, Parm's question. Oops, I lost it. Oh no, where'd it go? That was a good question. All right, you don't understand why Tylee was dismembered and burned where JJ was just put in care like a cocoon. I can't talk about that. I want to, but I cannot at this point. So, unfortunately, I'm going to have to leave that where it is. There will come a day when I can, but I can't. I can't talk about it. And it's not because I'm all emotional, but certain things I don't want to be responsible for putting into the public sphere about those two. So we're going to sit on that for now. Jenny says, I wonder if Alex was convinced to commit suicide. There's a lot of questions about that. Somebody said somebody called Alex. No, in the documents I was talking about before that were released from the police department, someone called Alex and gave him a blessing right before he died. Some people say that was Chad. Some say it was Melanie Gibb. Some say it was Jason Mao. Some say it was Julie Rowe. Who knows? One of those crazy creepers gave him a phone call and gave him a blessing. And then he turns up dead. The person should stop giving out blessings. Don't you think? Let's see. Chad had plans to put a mobile home on the property where the kids were found. That's why Chad and Lori didn't ever think they would be caught. Yeah. Let's see. Mark Means is a bad lawyer. No, he's not. Not a bad person. He's not a bad lawyer. He's probably very good at what he normally does. And imagine, you've been a civil lawyer for 10 years, right? And imagine you've done a lot of divorces and all kinds of other stuff. And all of a sudden, you were asked through some means to represent this person, Lori Vallow. And you're like, all right, you got to learn on the fly. That's not easy. Believe me, I have been trying to look up the legal statutes and stuff covering this case. And I'm like, oh, mind blown. I can't imagine how he's doing it. That takes a lot of effort. But he's not doing that bad. You guys think, oh, Mark Means is so stupid. He filed this stupid thing. That's so stupid. Rob Wood turns around and files this exact same filing. And you're like, yay, Rob Wood is so great. He's so tough. He's so good. I'm like, so check your bias on that. Really. And I know that's frustrating and that's not what you want to hear, but check your bias. If you yell at Mark Means for filing the exact same thing that Rob Wood filed and you're cheering Rob Wood on for filing it, what are you doing? Okay. What we all want in this case is a clean conviction. We don't want appeals. We don't want mistrials. We don't want anything like that. We want a nice, clean conviction that stands. So Mark Means, file everything you want. Get it all out of the way now. Let's hash it all out and let's get to trial. So, yeah, he's not that bad of a lawyer. He really isn't. He's not Jose Baez. Maybe 30 years from now he will be, but he's not yet. He's got to learn. Jose Baez sucked when he first started too. I'll tell you what. All right, going back in chat. Let's see. Wasn't an FBI agent in attendance at Alex Cox's autopsy? I have to read the paper again. I know the police officer was there, so possibly FBI. Anyway, what are they going to go over on April 7th? Salty? I can't imagine. The judge said it was a status conference. A status conference? There's one scheduled for like June, right before it goes to trial. So what is the status conference about? Whatever it was they talked about in the hearing, which we have no idea what that is. So I'm hoping it won't be sealed so we can watch it, but we're going to have to wait and see. Let's see. Weird Mom says, your blessing button is broken, brother. Yes, seriously. Seriously. Oh, man. Jenny says, if he was a good lawyer, he'd step down and help her find someone with more experience. Most firms will change counsel. No, he's not doing a bad job. See, I'm not just saying he's not a bad person, whatever. The filings he's filed are not bad. They're not. He's not falling down on the job. He's actually giving her a pretty solid defense so far. This is something that Lori Hellis and I have both said several times. He's not as dumb as we want to think he is. He's not. So, I think he's doing fine for now. He's raising every issue that he should be raising, some that he didn't need to be raising because he's going the extra mile. So think of it that way. He's doing more for her than John Pryor's doing for Chad, right? But everyone says, oh, John Pryor's experience, blah, 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 blah. Well, John Pryor's doing a better job. I mean, Mark Means is doing a better job than John Pryor. We're irritated by it because we have to see all this crap all the time. We're like, why would you bother with that, man? But technically, he's doing a good job for Lori. So we just wish Lori didn't have a competent attorney because we just like to see her thrown under the jail. But he's not going to let that happen. And that's his job. So when do you think we will get more information? Robbie, I really thought we were going to get at least an order yesterday from the judge, or at least a notice on the docket. Order for ex parte motion of protection granted. We didn't even get that. I would hope Monday, but if they sealed the hearing, the ex parte hearing, would the judge's order also be sealed? Possibly, because that could be information that we don't need. So I don't know. I'm hoping, I would really like, maybe Rob Wood could give me a call and explain what's going on. Hi, please. It's not going to happen. But Let's see. I sure hope we find most of the answers to this terrible case. Kathy, that's what it's really all about. And that's why a lot of us are frustrated. Certainly the people who tend to go off on Mark Means pretty hard. The frustration that we're feeling is because we want to see justice for JJ and Tylee and Tammy and Charles and Joseph. We want to see justice for them. But instead, what we're dealing with are all of these behind the scenes legal wranglings between parties. They're bickering, they're arguing, they're filing stuff night and day that has nothing to do with the kids. And that is ridiculously frustrating. I don't want to see a motion to compel. I don't want to see a motion in limine. I don't want to see this stuff. I want to see justice for the kids. But what we have to remember, and this is the side of court cases we don't often see, at least not in this depth. This is what happens behind the scenes of all of these big trials. You think this didn't happen in Jodi Arias's trial, or Tim Jones Jr., or any of the other cases we've ever watched? All of this stuff happens there too. We just don't normally see it all and experience it as it happens day by day by day. Right? Look at Letitia Stauch's case. We're seeing it there too. Right? Normally we would be like, blah, blah, blah. We'd know she was in jail. We would see the preliminary hearing, nothing. And then eventually we'd see the trial. Right? And people are like, why does it take so long between the preliminary hearing and the trial? This is why. Because all of this stuff will happen for months and sometimes years. Sometimes years. You hear people who get arrested and they go to trial 4 or 5 years later. This is why. Okay. We just don't normally have to deal with it day by day. So that's what's happening. It's not unusual, but it is frustrating when all we want to see is the jury walk into that courtroom, hand the clerk the paper, and hear guilty. That's all we want to see, but that could be years away from now. And seeing all this arguing and this baloney between the attorneys for us is like, why are you guys wasting so much time? Who cares about that? Go to trial. Well, they have to do this to get to trial. So yeah, I do get that frustration. I really do. However, I think the difference for me is that I am fascinated by this legal maneuvering. Right. I'm fascinated by the law and criminal justice. And it's gotten me to a point where I'm going to go get a law degree. That's how fascinated I am by this. But to me, it's like two separate things. It's like, all right, the kids' case is over here. We're going to get justice for them at some point. But right now, look at this fascinating legal stuff that's going on. Wow, this is how it works. Oh, my goodness. So it's like two different worlds. And eventually they're going to come together. But it's going to take a while to get there. Hi, USA Kiwi. How are you doing? I hope you're doing good. Salty asks, Ewan, what's your opinion about Lori insisting that she has Chad's last name? I think it's just baloney. I really do. I really think that's coming from Lori more than Mark Means. However, it's certainly in the defense's interest for Lori to attach herself to Chad in the event that he tries to turn on her and throws her under the bus. So that in the public's mind, Lori and Chad are like this. Right? Where if I were John Pryor, I'd be like, oh no, get back. I would be trying to distance so hard. So that's what I think it is. I think she's trying to cling on to that appearance of being Chad's wife. And so that's what she's doing. That's what I think is happening with that. Do I think it's very impactful on the case? No, I think it's just a public media type thing. But we'll see. I could be wrong. This case is going to take years, I'm sure that. Henriette, me too. This is not going to start trial in June or July. There's no way. Because I think that I do believe that the at least conspiracy to commit murder charges will be brought soon, and they will party up with the current charges we have. I don't think we're going to see a trial for these charges, get the conviction, and then go to trial for the other stuff. I don't think Rob Wood's going to do that. Because remember, if he proceeds with the conspiracy about the evidence charges that we have against us now, and witnesses testify to what they know, that's locked into the court record. And if he then goes to do the murder charges, that could cause some complications. So it would be, I think, in my limited worldview of law, it would be in his best interest to bring all of the charges together in one trial. So we'll see what happens. Then again, I could be completely wrong. I don't know. I'm guessing. Oh. Oh, that's a good point. Stephanie Suresti says she doesn't want Mrs. Daybell to mean Tammy. Ooh, I hadn't thought of that. Ooh, that's evil. That would be evil, and that would be Lori. I get that. My goodness. Yeah, that's a good perspective. Really good. Lori Coley, hi, welcome. It's nice to see you. Could Lori want to use the name Daybell because Chad would have to pay her lawyer fees? No. Nope, not a thing. Lori wants to be Daybell to invoke spousal privilege. Nope, that's not a thing either because there is no spousal immunity in Idaho. And also because the deaths of children are involved, spousal immunity would not be available to them. And they were not married at the time of the children's death. So, nope, spousal immunity is not a thing in this case. So, we don't have to worry about that. Are Lori and Chad able to communicate through their lawyers only? I'm not sure about that, Shane. I'm not sure. I will actually ask Lori Hellis about that because when we had their bond hearings, one of the bond requirements was that they have no contact with each other or any other parties in the case, which means if they were out on bond, they would not be allowed to communicate. Does that cover them while they're in jail too? I'm not entirely sure. Can they communicate through their attorneys? Not entirely sure. So I will find out. That's a good question. Miss Wee Lassie says, I take my hat off to any law enforcement having to get a trial together whilst this pandemic is upon us. Hard enough in normal times, but nigh on impossible with all the restrictions. That is really true. And one thing that we've heard, certainly from Mark Means, is how the COVID restrictions at the jail and other things are causing problems. And you can hate Mark Means all you want, but there are genuine problems with the constitutional rights of inmates being hampered right now because of COVID restrictions on jails. And certainly Zoom hearings, those are problematic. And I can guarantee you those are going to be litigated for decades. They really will, because some of the stuff we've seen happening on Zoom hearings, even in this case, is not okay. Not okay at all. So there's some big problems. Hopefully that'll clear itself up quickly. I like that. Shane Murphy, thank you for the super chat. Shane says, thank you so much. This has been awesome. Well, thank you for being here. One thing you'll find about me, I hate, like yesterday, people were like, hey, when you got to do a live about this. I was like, what am I going to say? There was this weird hearing. I have no idea what happened. Bye. Thanks for coming. I don't like doing this at all. I do not like speculating. I don't like throwing theories out there. I prefer to work off facts and documents and stuff like that. I don't have any for you today with this stuff, and I'm very uncomfortable just up here rambling about my opinion. But everybody is talking about this, and I felt we needed to get together and let's see if we can hash this out. Everybody has problems with Zoom, says Carolyn. Absolutely. We've seen some crazy things on Zoom. Lawyer showing up as a cat. Excuse me. Hold on 1 second. I have to cough. Ooh. 1 second. Okay. Sorry about that. We saw a case recently where a young girl had a charge against her boyfriend for assault or something, and they had a hearing, right, for him, and the prosecutor is looking at the screen like, right, because the girl was there in her Zoom box, and the guy that she had pressed charges on was there in his Zoom box, and the prosecutor realized they're actually in the same apartment. And she was like, oh, no. But she managed to keep her cool and get the cops there while they were in the middle of this hearing. And the cops knocked on the door, and sure enough, the guy's in the right apartment. That cannot happen in a court of law, right? Even in the hearing, the motion to disqualify. In this case, we had one of the experts, Garrett Smith, get up and answer the door in the middle of his sworn testimony. You don't do that in a court of law. We had one guy in front of a green screen with his kids running around and dogs barking and all this other stuff. Zoom hearings are ridiculous. They really are. I can see their usefulness, but you can't safeguard against certain things. So, yeah, that's going to be a problem with further litigation in these cases. We can count on that. Let me scroll up a little bit because I was coughing and stuff. Why did Mark Means try to assert that Chad and Lori had a common law marriage relationship? Raised a constitutional issue to relate. Well, the whole marriage thing. At first, remember, for the first 8 months after Lori was arrested, the judge in Madison County was like, I don't even know if you're really married. Even Judge Eden said it at one point. He's like, I haven't seen a marriage certificate. I don't even know if they're really married. I'm not calling her Daybell, right? That was a big, big issue. Now we have this marriage certificate, right? Is it a valid marriage certificate? Possibly, probably, maybe. But did Lori ever file the paperwork to change her last name? At least in most states, certainly where I am, if I get married, I don't immediately become my husband's last name. I have to file papers with the IRS and this and that and change your license. You have to actually formally change your last name to your married surname. Is that the case in Hawaii? Does that apply here in Idaho? There's so many complexities involved with if they are legally married to begin with and what her legal last name is. So that whole part is one mess. But then the other mess is, what protections is Lori afforded as his spouse, if any? And that depends on the state. That depends on so many other things. So I think this is one of those things where I get frustrated. I'm like, who cares? Mark means we don't care. This is about the kids. But then again, are they his legal stepchildren? Does that give him more culpability in their deaths? And so there's a lot of issues with ironing out exactly the status of their marriage, the status of all of that legality. So that's why Mark Means is bringing it up. Is he trying to say that Chad is just as culpable for the stuff that Lori? Remember Lori's charges in Madison County, right? If they were legally married, and Chad is legally their stepfather, blah, blah, blah. How come he doesn't have those charges? Well, because that all happened before you were married. They were married on November 5th. These kids were murdered in September. So trying to weave Lori's legal whatever in with Chad's like that, just stop, So that's what I think that's all about, is he's trying to make Chad as culpable for the disappearance and ultimate death of the children as Lori would be as their parent, by saying he was their legal step parent. But he wasn't when they died because they weren't married. There you go. What is her real name? Lori's real name is Lori Cox Yanes LaJoya Ryan Vallow Daybell. Plus Noreen, her actual middle name. Stick that in there. I forgot that one. So yeah, that is her name. Technically, I think right now her name is Lori Vallow, because even though Mark Means can put up the image of their marriage certificate, I don't see anything where she filed with the IRS to change her name to Daybell. So legally, like on her tax refund, it would say Lori Vallow, right? So maybe that's why the court calls her Lori Vallow. She never filed for a name change. I don't know. That's just my theory. They weren't married when the children were killed. So did that negate the protection of that marriage? Yeah, there's no protection of the marriage in this case anyway. There's no spousal immunity. There's nothing like that. But the fact that they were not married when the children were disappeared and were murdered, yeah, there's nothing there. Nothing there. What is her dad's? Her dad's name is Barry Cox. Her parents are Barry and Janice Cox. She's from the Cox family. That is her maiden name. Could Colby or Kay and Larry file a civil suit? I think they could. I'm not sure when or if that's something they're thinking about, but they could file a wrongful death suit. If Means filed one for Lori, wouldn't he file it as Lori Daybell, since he made a big song and dance about everything referring to? Yeah, Andrea Geldart. That's one thing that we've been debating. There's a lot of us debating behind the scenes about these motions and who filed them and what is it about and da-da-da. And they said, well, Mark Means and John Pryor clearly filed them. I'm like, but why would Mark Means file it as Vallow? Wouldn't he say Daybell? Wouldn't there be a Daybell and a Daybell listing and not a Vallow and a Daybell listing? So yeah, it's such a mess, I tell you. Salty says this current hearing and charges for the kids and not other previous death. The current hearing and charges, the current trial that's upcoming. Chad has 4 charges. 2 counts of conspiracy to conceal, destroy, or alter evidence, and 2 counts of actually concealing, destroying, or altering evidence. Right? So 2 conspiracy and 2 he actually concealed this evidence. Lori has 2 charges against her in this current trial, which are 2 charges of conspiracy to conceal, destroy, or alter evidence. So those are the only charges that are currently before Chad and Lori. Lori has 3 other misdemeanor charges in Madison County that relate to like a contempt of court when she was supposed to show up with court and produce the children, but she didn't. Those are still ongoing in Madison County, but that's a whole separate case. So that's what's going on right now. Carrie says she would have needed to file the name change with the Department of Social Security and for her new name to be on her driver's license. Wouldn't it be not necessarily the IRS? Okay. All right. At least in my state, a person can use whatever name they choose as long as they are not doing it for a fraudulent reason. Okay. But when it comes to illegal filing, like if I wanted to call myself Pixelberry Moonweb, right, and I was involved in a court proceeding, would the court use that name if I said that's the name I prefer to go by, Your Honor? Or would they be like, ha, no, I don't know about that. That's an interesting take because I kind of like Pixelberry Moonweb. I might try that. So yeah, Mark means if you want to subpoena me for my testimony regarding statements I have made here today, you can send the subpoena to Pixelberry Moonweb. We'll go from there. Hopefully in this era of lockdown, we can all see that just being locked away is a wretched punishment, and all things like water to wash our hands and showers and decent food and sunshine are just humane. Weird Mom, look, I washed my hair. It's really frizzy. When my water finally came back on, it was out from February 17th till just the other day, 2 days ago, as a matter of fact. I washed my hair like 5 times. I just shampooed it, and I could not stop shampooing my hair. So it's really dry. I had to put that nice oily stuff, what's it called, hair serum on, because it's fried. I should not have done that. But, 2.5 weeks worth of dry shampoo and stuff did not go well for my hair. Yeah, I'll get it back. Yes, we finally have water. So we were almost 3 weeks without water, without running water. During a pandemic, when you can't wash your hands, you have to take a bottle of water. You have to heat it up in the microwave. You have to soap up your hands. Hope you heated up enough water to wash all the soap off. And you have to do that 10 times a day. That's not fun. No. So, yeah, I've been having trouble with that. But we have water. It's been on for 2 straight days now. It's safe. We can drink it, although I'm not. And now I'm my mind is just, I'm going to stick with bottled water for cooking and drinking. Yeah. But we can shower and we can do laundry and all that good stuff. So we're smelling a lot better around here in Texas right now. I tell you what. Oh. Let's see. USA Kiwi says, remember, Lori's attorney wanted her to be referred to as Mrs. Daybell. Yeah, Chad's attorney asked for, yeah, they're fighting over that. They will. But technically, if they're married and she wants to be called Daybell, Chad's lawyer can just suck it. She has that right. So, Pantene 24-hour moisture is amazing. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do something like that. I really have to do a nice hair mask type thing to recover from this mess. It's been a tough pandemic. Add no water. It was not good. My husband is an essential worker, so he has to go out to work. My daughter and my son and I have not really left the apartment since like last March because my daughter has a lung issue already. She cannot handle COVID, so I am keeping her very, very safe. But when my husband comes home from work, he has to remove his clothing at the door and go straight to the shower, right? And then he deals with nobody touches his laundry. He has to deal with it because I'm that paranoid about it. Okay, remember? No, never mind. I was going to say something I should not have said. But anyway, without running water, that was a nightmare. Because you are working in the public all day here in Texas when nobody wanted to wear a mask even before they lifted the mask mandate. Coming home possibly with COVID all over you and your clothes, and you can't wash, and you're putting your whole family at risk. It was not pleasant. So that was when we decided we are moving out of Texas and I'm going home to New England. So hopefully that will happen very soon and get me out of this place. I'm not happy with this state. But anyway, Brenda says, I smell hella better. Thank you. I'm glad. I'm very glad you think so. We really do smell better. It was getting rough there. Oh, but yeah, everything is better here in Texas. So as far as this issue goes with this case, I am very, very sorry that I cannot tell you exactly what's going on. You know that's my thing. I like to come at you with all the documents. We read through them. I explain them. I get confirmation from others. And we keep everything flowing. I can't do that today. And I'm sorry. I hate that. And I'm very upset at these attorneys for putting me in a position where I can't tell you what's happening. And we have to guess. I don't like that. Shane asks, where in New England? Back to Connecticut. That's where I'm from. So going back home. Yes, New England. I know winter. I know I'm going to have to deal with winter, but it's fine. It's fine. So yeah, I'll be back in Connecticut, hopefully by the summer. So we're just waiting for everything to fall into place. So if you can send me some good vibes and wishes that everything falls into place quickly, I'd appreciate that. Oh, definitely. All right. So some things that you should know before we wrap up today. First, keep Jess Nelson in her thoughts. I need her healthy and home as quickly as possible. So does her family. So Jess, if you're still awake and listening, I love you. Please get better soon. I'm thinking of you. What's coming up this week? Let's see. Tomorrow's Sunday. I might do a Patreon live tomorrow. We'll see what's going on with Jess and all that good stuff. Monday, I do expect to hear something Monday about this, even an order from the judge that would give us some kind of hint as to what happened on Friday. Anything like that, I'll bring it to you right away. I'll post it on the community tab, and then we'll get a video up. If it's really important, we'll do a live stream right away. So ring the notification bell below. When COVID clears, you should have a meet and greet. Vicky, I had a plan right before COVID hit. Right, I had plans to do a cross-country trip with my daughter. We were going to go see Paul. We were going to go see Denise. We were going to go see Jess and get up to Connecticut and visit my family. We were just going to go dotting all up the Eastern Seaboard to see all of my YouTube friends and stuff. But COVID happened, so that didn't work. But yeah, that's that. Well, you know what, Sarah, I would definitely come to Idaho. Definitely. And I'm like, show me the places. I want to go see the courthouse. I want to see all this stuff. That would be really cool. Let's go visit Mark Means. No, not really. So yeah, what was I talking about? Stuff coming up. Ring the notification bell for anything that breaks in this case. Certainly, as soon as we find out what happened, I will let you know right away. Susie, thank you for the super chat. She says, how's it going? It's going great. Thank you. I really appreciate that. That's a great sticker. And thank you for your support. All right, so Patreon and channel members, remember every Thursday night we're doing the narcissism live stream discussion. Please take part in that. It's been really great. I've had a great time doing that so far. So that's coming up this Thursday. Anything that happens with the case, I'm going to stay on this. I'll bring you, if there's news every day, I'll bring a video every day. Sometimes you guys are like, hey, when we haven't heard from you all week, I'm like, nothing happened. I'm sorry. But I'm staying on it, and anything big I'll bring to you right away. Also, you find me on Paul's channel. Paul, Jess, and I just did a roundtable discussion the other night. That was really good. So check out Reporting Live from My Sofa. You can just pop that into YouTube, and it will bring you right to his channel. Jess Nelson has started a new true crime channel, if I can say that. It's called Jess Nelson Mistrial. It's called Jess Nelson Mistrial. Suddenly lost the ability to speak. So you can look up Jess Nelson Mistrial in the search, and it'll bring you right to her channel. I'm sure the mods are... Oh, there you go. Sarah just linked Jess's new channel. She is in the hospital right now, but as soon as she gets out, she's got a whole series of stuff planned, including the Letitia Stout case, which is a big deal around here. So I cannot wait to see that. So there's a lot going on, a lot of people going on. Please come hang out in Discord. We're having a great time in there. We theorize about all this stuff in Discord around the clock. So if you want to theorize and talk about this darn case around the clock, Discord's where you need to be. So yeah, and I'm sorry I'm playing with this. Funny story before we go. My husband is a pawnbroker, like the Pawn Stars, one of those guys. And they get a lot of fake stuff in the pawn shop. Imagine that. And somebody brought in a fake Louis Vuitton bag. And I was like, I want it, right? I want a real one, but I'll take what I can get for now. But he said, no, they can't. They have to destroy it. Legally, they have to shred this thing. I was like, but you can't just bring it home? And he's like, no, I cannot bring it home. I was like, husband, are you? I was kind of mad, but they shredded it. But he did save me the chain. So this is a chain from a fake Louis Vuitton bag. But I liked it so much. I was like, this is cool. But the problem with me wearing it is I can't stop playing with it. That's probably really bad on video. So maybe I won't wear it in the next one. But it's just fun. I'm a very silly person. There you go. It's one of my things. M. Aspen. Yeah, before I go, I'm going to hit on this comment. M. Aspen says there are a lot of followers that still believe in Chad and Lori's visions. They may be donating to them as well as family. That is true. That's something that I am working on in the background. There's some very big groups of people with connections to this case, and we're going to dive into that when I feel it's appropriate. It's big. You guys have heard me start on it. You had run in with Michael and Nancy James. That's the beginning of it. That is the tip of the iceberg. But we're going to go down to the bottom of that iceberg. I promise you, when it's appropriate and safe. So, a pawnbroker in Portland just got murdered. I'm sorry to hear that. But no, my husband does not want to buy a shop of someone who got murdered. No, that's bad mojo. Hey, Skraling 1000 in chat, for those of you who don't know, that is my husband. And his answer to that was the same as mine. No. Anyway. All right. So I'm going to get going. It was great talking to you. It's great to be on camera again. I was so long without, I'm not going on camera if I haven't had a shower. So there you go. I'm back. Everything's great. Send wishes to Jess, and I will talk to you guys as soon as I know anything at all about this crazy stuff going on. So stay tuned, and I will talk to you soon. Thank you all for the support. I appreciate you. Bye. Thank you, mods. I love you guys. I will talk to you soon. This is me looking for the end broadcast button because I can never find that thing. Here we go. All right. Bye, everybody.